finally, after waiting for 2 years, Football Manager 26 finally dropped, right? After like this canceled year, after rebuild promised, and let's be honest, it runs like a, I don't know, like a lawnmower in a swamp. It's reviews, you see it on Steam wherever you play. Reviews apocalyptic, no one likes it. But this is not just about a bad video game. Like, it happens all the time, sure. FM26 is a perfect case study for what I would call, from a media prof's point of view, simulation failure, okay? All those old school media theorists would have like a field day with that, because it's not a surprise what happened. It was a wreckage that's been announced for 2 years, basically. And that's pissing me off. Sawadee Krab and welcome to another episode here for the Funkit Pod. Mindful, maybe not as much today, media and communication, because, oh God, am I mad. And I'm not a hardcore gamer, which probably makes me even more mad right now, because there are a handful of games that I played. Football Manager used to be one of those. I don't know how many hours, days, weeks, months I clocked on FM24. Taking my team from the lowest German tier all the way up to the Bundesliga, getting jobs in England, leaving them again because, let's be honest, English football, who wants that? Going to Spain, climbing the Olympus of all things club football, world football, just to start anew with FM26 and be completely annoyed by everything. If you ask me right now, what do you like about the new FM26? I could not tell you a single thing. I mean, the gameplay is ridiculously bad. It's unbelievable. The in-game mechanisms, I mean, you can't even shout at your team anymore. Like, come on, I'm a coach, I want to shout. I didn't know what I'm saying. The UX, the UI. Give me a day, I build you a better looking game in Gemini just by white coding. That's another episode coming, by the way. Just by white coding, rather than whatever you cannot tell me. It took you 3 years to develop a game. Like, are you kidding me? Wooza. Let's break it down, because hey, uni professor, completely able to take out my emotions and look at it through a theoretical lens. Totally. So let's go. So a few theories that we discuss in class a lot, right? One that I discussed here a lot on the podcast as well is Jean Baudrillard, right? So Jean Baudrillard, he talked about the simulacra. If you listen to previous episodes, you know those simulacra and simulation. If not, quick breakdown, no problem. So he basically says, okay, we are not sure what's real, what's not real, right? Okay, that's hyperreality. I'm getting to simulacra in a second. Okay, so we're not sure what's real, what's not real in our modern world. And even he said it back then. He said, okay, we see things, we're exposed to things, and we know it's produced for us to consume. But is it all, like reality TV, for example, right? Is it all real? Probably not, because it's produced for us to consume. So is everything fake? Probably not. We're not sure. We're not sure what's real, what's fake. And if I now look at something that's fake, that's produced for consumption, but I think it's real, it becomes real to me. So that's basically hyper-reality in a nutshell, okay? Okay, so now the next concept that builds on that from Baudrillard is simulacra and simulation. Okay, so the hyper-reality is the simulation part. So we all live in a simulation because what we see and take for real influences our reality. So that's the simulation part, okay? The simulacra is the term for the process of ending up in that simulation. So basically looking at things assigning it meaning from our point of view, so to speak. Again, it's all in a nutshell. More details coming during the semester break. I'm going to do like a whole breakdown of theories episodes, okay? So in this case, Football Manager 26, makes me mad just saying the name. The precision of the simulacra, okay? So the simulacra, what I just said. Okay, so the marketing of the game, right? Best game ever. We took an extra year to make it super mega awesome. Became like so much hype. So the expectations were really high. Knowing the developers, okay, we reduced the expectations again, but if someone hypes up the game for like 2 years, basically, you're like, it's gotta be somewhat good, right? So all the marketing materials, the roadmap they put out, you're like, that's gotta be something good. I was looking forward to it. You're probably the same, right? But the game itself, do not swear on YouTube videos or podcasts. The game itself wasn't great. So we spent 2 years consuming the idea of the game, right? It's going to be awesome. It's going to be this and enhanced in gameplay modes and things like that. And nothing was delivered. Yet the reality is that hollow shell of what it could be. And clearly not is. So the simulation, Matrix reference, the simulation didn't just glitch, okay? It revealed that there's nothing behind the curtain. You pull the curtain down and there's nothing. It's just marketing. I'm only slightly exaggerating when telling you that you could probably create a better game. And yes, it's exaggerated slightly. You could create a better game in Gemini or with Claude right now. And that's really sad. Okay. While my soul is slowly leaving the body, I'm gonna move to the second theory of today's episode, which is the soul at work. Smooth transitions here. That's what makes a uniprof. So the concept here, and it's a concept by a researcher called Mr. Berardi, Berardi, Franco. He said, okay, it's like semio-capitalism and exhaustion is the concept. Okay, so I'll explain. So he basically suggests, like, why is everything so bad? Well, because the people that are working on it are probably, no offense to those, broken. I explain what I mean by that. That means that, in the gaming industry in particular, you rely on something we call crunch culture, okay? So, which means you exploit mental energy. So, because, you have to expand, you have to exhaust yourself, your mental energy, right? So FM26 feels super tired. It feels like, if I were to analyze it, it's like a product of cognitive exhaustion. It's like they knew they had to put it out. They're clearly not ready. They just like, let's just keep going. Let's just, come on, let's add this thing. Let's add this feature. We don't need it, whatever. Let's just put it out there. That's how FM26 feels. Why? I'm not sure, because, you had a shitload of time. But it feels like it. So it's kind of like, this, in business simulations, we talk about like infinite growth in a like finite creative space, which then leads to burnout of your employees, of your colleagues, and so on. That's how FM26 feels. Okay, so that's the exhaustion part of like the semio-capitalism. You gotta produce, you gotta put it out there. It's clearly exhausted and it's clearly not ready, and you just like, let's push it now and let's pray people might not see the bugs or whatever. And we do see the bugs. We waited for 2 years. Right? We are ready to be amazed, and we were not. And the last theory, and then I'm gonna add more of, without ranting, more of my point of view to it. But the last theory I want to suggest in today's episode is actually a very, I don't want to say basic, but a very famous, important theory when it comes to pop culture. Okay, we had like researchers called Adorno and Horkheimer. They were from the Frankfurt School back in then they became the Glasgow School of Media Communication, and they talk about what they called back in the day. So if you search for any of those, like Theodor Adorno, for example, there are a few YouTube videos out there, quite interesting, very thick German accent, more than mine, and all black and white, so bad quality, but interesting to listen to the guy. And they talk about something that's called the culture industry. Okay, so in the culture industry, they talk about, okay, we have standardization and we have something that they call pseudo-individuality. Okay, so we feel individual, but it's not really individual. And Adorno makes the point in his initial interview about like pop music. So he says, for example, that he's against pop music talking about wars, for example. So his example was the Vietnam War. So you see how old it's been. Right? So he talked about the Vietnam War, and he's like, I think if pop artists now create content, music about the Vietnam War, it standardizes it. It takes away from the importance of the war, for example. So that was one of his more critical takes, probably, because others say no. If you add it actually to pop culture, more people will be aware. Adorno says it trivializes it. It takes away from the seriousness, so people don't take it as serious, for example. When it comes to standardization and pseudo-individuality, Adorno and Horkheimer suggest that, well, culture industry products, they sell you the same thing every time they come out with it. In the gaming sense, every single year. So sports games are kind of the ultimate cultural industry product, if you will, because you get the same thing every single year. That's standardization, right? So that's on. And then pseudo-individuality means, well, they market it as revolution, as something new, something crazy, and you think like, oh yeah, it's gonna be better, it's gonna be different. It has a slight different UX UI. I mean, to be fair, the FM26 user interface completely different to FM24. Way worse, one might say, but it's different. So at least they tried, I guess. But overall, in FM26, you could say like this: standardization meeting pseudo-individuality, the mask completely slipped. Because we see the factory line right now. We see like what you did. You just try to slip a new face on it without making any significant improvements. In fact, you actually remove features that we all liked from the previous version. Like, why? To make it run faster, smoother? I don't know. So that's really annoying. And that's the theory part for now. So those theories apply to everything that I'm saying in this regard. Now I want to just highlight 3 more things that I was jotting down while I thought about, like, how do I bring my thoughts in order when talking about FM26? And here's the thing. I signed up for the beta version. I'm sure most of you did as well. I put it in my basket way when it was announced. I paid for it right away. Of course, I'm like, I'm so excited to play it again. But the beta version, I mean, it's a beta version. I understand what it stands for, but the beta version was so incredibly bad that it didn't deserve the word beta. Like, I mean, it crashed so many times. So they made us unpaid quality assurance people, right? So insane. Like it was maybe an alpha version. It was definitely not a beta version. But okay. Getting over it. It's freezing on my Mac. It's freezing all the time. I had to cancel. I had to close it, force quit, open it again. Sure, all for the sake of, sure, I'll send crash reports. You'll make your game better. Once you release it, it's going to be awesome, hopefully. Yeah, it did not happen, right? The release happens. Still, so many bugs, like screen resolution is not adjusting, at least on a Mac. I don't know, on a Windows computer. One of the other reasons why I'm so big into FM26, it runs on a Mac. Nice. So I can play it when I'm on the go and when I'm like commuting, when I'm on a train, whatever. Nice. I mean, until now. So selling those early access games, right, is such a cop-out now. Like, hey, here, get early access, give us your money, get early access to a shitty game. Great. Thank you for giving me early access to a not yet finished game, so I can tell you what you have to fix. Shouldn't you be paying me that? Fantastic. That's what we call the better trap, maybe. Even more so, what really sets me off is because my job, like talking about parasocial relationships in class a lot, right? So parasocial relationships means like you have like you feel like a connection to someone or something. It's a one-way connection. So let's say you have like a favorite influencer, for example, favorite celebrity, superstar, singer, whatever, actor. Like I know everything about that person. It's so cool. They deserve everything they get. Swifties, for example, just one example. She's so cool, and then this happened to Taylor, and that was her second boyfriend, and then she wrote that song, and then this, and now she's with Travis, and then she's writing this, and you know everything about her, and you feel like a deep bond to her and to her music. She doesn't know who you are. And that's not to offend you right now, but that's just the case, right? So she can't know her fans. So that's a parasocial relationship. Gamers have that too. With characters, with people, developers, games, brands, for example. So FM fans, right, Football Manager fans, just like any other big game brand, and FM is a big game brand for those who are not familiar. They don't just play. They identify with it, just like any other game. Yeah, just like whatever, ROV, just like Dota, whatever. Right? So identification is very high. So when the game breaks, it feels like a friend kind of betrays you. Even though they don't know who we are, right? But it feels like, I waited for you for 2 years. I waited for 2 years for you. And you betray me like this. That's a breach of this parasocial contract, if you will. Sounds silly, but if you wait for something for 2 years and you like promises, only thing worse will be GTA. If GTA 6 ever comes out and it sucks as much as FM26 sucked compared to 24, you're going to feel like even more betrayed because you waited for GTA 6 for like decades by then, probably. Last thing, and I promise I'm going to stop ranting then because I'm checking the time. I've been ranting for 15 minutes straight. Thank you for being here in my psychology session. I should have laid down on a sofa and just ran it to you. But if you look at the user interface, and this is not a UX UI podcast, but if you look at the UI, the interface for a game, the interface is the game. The medium is the message, right? Marshall McLuhan, not another theory. If you know, you know. If not, check it out. The medium is the message from Marshall McLuhan. The interface is the game, okay? If menus lag, which happens on FM26 all the time, there's nothing that's not lagging. The fantasy of being like a high-speed manager goes straight out the window. It breaks the immersion immediately because you click. I mean, super basic, but you click and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're like, in game you click on like tactics, and then the pop-up comes and it's opening up very slowly. You're like, the hell. I know it's unbelievable to think that I actually work at a university right now ranting at a game, but I hope you do see the connections. You see like how actual media and communication theory plays into that. Like, is at play here? Because again, it's not a surprise, unfortunately. Yeah, so if you look at the science, if you look at like what they've been doing, how they've been doing things, how they've been different. Another episode, how have they been communicating? How has FM been communicating with the fans? Like they're not great at communicating. I was thinking about like doing an episode on like communication failures for a long time. So like, no, wait until the game is out. Now maybe you have to do it because their communication is, I mean, they're selling everything as like, hey, look, cool here. But they never address the shortcomings. Just really sad. I mean, they never really addressed like in detail why they can. I mean, they address the cancellation a little bit, but not really in detail. Yeah, if you do something like that, you have to share more. You have to be more transparent. But that's a completely different episode. Maybe we do like a one on like communication failures in the gaming industry or something like that coming soon. If you're interested, let me know. I will stop it right here. FM26 made me rant for 20 minutes. How dare you? Let me know if I'm exaggerating, if I'm overreacting, if I'm capping, or if you agree with it. Shout out in the comments. That would be fantastic. Leave a review. Ideally, that would be cool too. Appreciate that. Share your thoughts. Any alternatives to FM26? What else could I be playing? What else can I manage? Why is football the only real cool managing game out there? Formerly cool managing game out there. Are there any cool other cool simulation/managers that I should be trying? Shout out. Let me know. Until then, stay safe. Take care. Don't let FM26 bother you more. We'll see each other soon next time. Until then, stay safe. Saudi Cup.